Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our fifth Wednesday webinar in this year for our new products. It's certainly great to see you all, and we thank you significantly for signing up and joining us today. Behind me, I've got a fantastic device I want to talk about today, and not just talk about it, I'm actually cooking in this device behind me at the moment. So this is a meal delivery system, our Variatherm product. This particular unit has a fridge and an oven capacity, so they work harmoniously together. On the left-hand side, I have chilled products in at the moment, which is going to be part of the service today. And on the right-hand side, I've got products cooking. It's cooking and regenerating since this morning at 9:41. So quite interestingly, last night, just before I went home, I put my program up and I made sure that my settings are in for this morning on a delayed start. So before I was even in the kitchen, on the standby mode, my unit kicked in at 11 minutes past 9, and it started a sequence of preheating. And at 9:41, when I came in, I was ready to load my food straight from the freezer into the device. And then I will extract it. Let me see on my time at the moment. I've got 13 minutes left. Then it will be ready. So live during the webinar, the food will come out. And I'm absolutely convinced the food will be at the great temperature it should be. So above 75 degrees to above 82, towards 85 degrees. And the consistency of the product will be great as well. During the course of this particular webinar, instead of me talking all the time, please get those questions coming in. It's an open forum on the chat function, which Kevin will then relay through to me, and I'll answer it as accurately as possible. If there is a question that I might not know at that stage, we also have a colleague on standby. If it's something technical, perhaps you can jump in and help with, and that's great as well. So please don't hesitate to get those questions coming in. So during the earlier webinar, early in the year, I went through all the unique benefits and features of this particular device. Externally, of course, internally with the cooking and so forth. It's a great piece of kit. It's not just there for the care industry. However, it was designed around that aspect of the care sector, hospitals, care homes, and so forth. But it's an extremely versatile piece of kit, as you'll see during the course of the webinar today. I've done a full load that is typical what you would get for a care home, for instance, or even a hospital ward. So with the food I've got in the oven today, there's a stew, there's a pie, there's a bake. I've got some rice in there. There's 2 different puddings. We've got modified meals as well, which is single individual meals with specific diets. And then also various vegetables and potatoes and other starches there as well. So it's almost a full menu. Well, it is a full menu. We're going to regenerate today and then serve accordingly. Okay, so everything's cooking at the moment. It's onto a 13 amp plug, so it's plugged in and active. So I cannot swing it around now. So this will almost take care of a simulation that you are coming from the kitchen or from the food production area, then moving your trolley in a lift to what floor you might go to, or wherever section you might go to in the ward, different rooms, or the dining room area accordingly. So I've parked it, I've secured it with the brakes, and the unit is now ready for service in roughly about 11 minutes time, where I'll initiate it. Together with the units, there's various optional extras that you can get, together with the tray slides on the side, the refuge bag on the side like that, and also condiment containers. There are various different accessories and options that you can have with these units. Okay, any questions in yet, Kevin?
Yeah, Sean, what type of operation will benefit most from this kind of equipment?
Given that the whole project got developed around the care sector, so your care homes, your hospitals, and so forth, which they all use these kind of products. So certainly fantastic and really, really essential for those operations to operate efficiently. However, you can also use these units various other places: corporate catering, banqueting, hotels, outside catering. We're looking at various other fields where these units can be utilized successfully. I'm talking about corporate catering, where you have a smallish perhaps, or a production kitchen, and the food can then get dispersed over multi-levels of floors to different areas within that building for service. We think about executive boardroom dining, different meeting rooms, where the guests cannot necessarily always break away from the meeting room to go somewhere else. It's a full day meeting. The trolley can go up to this section where they are. It can be served with the catering assistant, or the customers then can open the door and take the hot food or the cold food accordingly from the unit. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
So the actual main purpose of the equipment, Sean?
Kevin, the main purpose of this equipment is to be able to regenerate the food or rethermalize the food all together in one unit, and also serve from that unit. So from literally from oven to plate to customer, this is the main essential purpose of these particular units, which makes complete sense. It's all in one tool. As I said, you've got condiment trays on the sides. You can have all your cutlery. You can have your crockery handy. All your crocs are already on top, ready for service. Literally take it from your food production area and go to the area where you're serving it straight away. Very, very efficient.
Okay, good stuff. So in terms of like which sectors would you reckon could use would benefit mostly from these?
Again, the sectors like I mentioned earlier, sectors like your external events catering, banqueting, weddings, wedding functions, looking at refectory catering, for instance, where you can split the refectory area perhaps in two for an alternative area. So it's actually great for various sectors within the food and spirit service industry.
Okay, that's great, mate. Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right.
Yeah, go on, Sean. Yep. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Go, Kevin. It should be another.
Yes. So how is this possible from only a 13 amp supply? I mean, you're doing a lot of baking and cooking and whatnot, but how is it sort of that we've got it down to a 13 amp supply? Okay,
so behind the 13 amp supply, this oven is extremely intelligent. So first of all, we've got 3 fans. We've got 3 elements. You would expect something more power supply, 32 amp, 16 amp to go into that. But we managed to get to 13 amp, which makes it accessible for various areas. So literally plug and play. You go to a zone, put it into your plug on the wall, and away you go. And that's controlled digitally by intelligent thermostatic controls. So all those controls, we are able to manage the power flow to the different elements to secure optimal heating in sections within the unit, within 3 zones. Or we can do a multi-stage cooking as well. And you can think about taking a product out from the freezer. You perhaps want to start at a lower temperature first to get some form of a defrost going, then increase the temperature to get the browning, the crisping, and the textures correct, and then dropping the temperature down either to hold that product or then to get it to hold it for the service, or just finish off that cooking process with a nice subtle heat distribution within the unit.
Okay, yeah, good.
Okay.
And can you reheat across all the shelves simultaneously, Sean?
Yes, so there's 8 shelves, which you can utilize all of them. Okay, so over 8 shelves completely. But then again, we also have to think about, what kind of product are we going to put in? If you load shelves 1 to 8 with heavy frozen items from the top to the bottom, your rethermalization will take slightly longer. So normally it takes about between 60 and 90 minutes for regeneration to take place from frozen. Again, if it's heavier products, and I'm talking about heavy condensed stews with lots of starch in it, those timings might be able to increase. I would recommend strongly that if you are going to cook items and it's a mixture of them, like pies with puff pastry topping or a short crust pastry top or potato topping, leave shelf number 1 open. Put your pies and those items that you want to still get optimal heat in the core of your food product, but also the nice even browning on the top. Leave shelf 1 open and then go from shelf 2 to shelf 8. With the items that requires the least cooking, like your greens, your peas, your beans, your carrots, put them onto the lower racks, and then finally ending by putting something like your modified meals right at the bottom. And that's the way that the heat distribution will work efficiently through your unit.
Okay, good, thank you. So in terms of the food container, Sean, what's the spacing gap between the shelves?
So the space between each shelf, I don't want to open the oven now. It's still another 5 minutes before we unload. I want the basket to go. So it's 65 mils on each shelf, and that's including the oven rack that's in it. Optimally 40 millimeter trays work perfectly fine, which leaves enough gap in between the next shelf on the top for efficient airflow around it to create you a very good rethermalization, but also evenness of browning and cooking on the top. So it is a generous gap, but remembering as well, we're fitting that into a compact unit, a very maneuverable compact unit. Okay, so yeah, I hope that gets it. Okay.
Okay, yeah, good stuff. And also, what size gas stroughs?
So standard is 1x1 gas stroughs, and they can go directly onto the shelf, or they can go into the runner. It depends on how you want to use the device. So these devices come supplied as standard with all the oven racks already in them. But if you so prefer to cook directly onto the gastro tray or regenerate onto the gastro tray, you can do this also. Okay. To the left of the unit, as I mentioned earlier, I've got my refrigeration side. So typically your puddings will then be in here where you can put on the shelf. I also have lovely juices, some yogurts for the customers, a few little sweet treats and a nice healthy salad, a few sandwiches, selection, and again, nicely fresh cut fruit. Again, safely presented, safely packaged. And again, across the shelving, there's 4 racks coming supplied as standard, also on 1x1 gastro. So again, very, very versatile. Together with the oven, the fridge will run optimally all the time. So the one does not influence the other one negatively or adversely. They both run efficiently and sufficiently at all times during the process.
Okay, so running both simultaneously, it won't influence like the performance of either.
Yes, so that's a very, very good feature. So if I'm putting my oven up to maximum temperature of 250 degrees, it's going to pull quite a lot of power. It's not going to influence the way the fridge operates. The fridge will still operate where it's set at 3 degrees, 1 to 3 degrees, accordingly. Okay.
Yeah, good.
So 3 minutes and 40 seconds, then we shall start.
No, that's fine. That's fine, Chef. What would you say are other unique features of the meal delivery trolley, Sean? Okay,
Kevin, can you repeat that?
What would you say are other unique features of the meal delivery trolley?
There are there are quite an array of unique features with this particular trolley, Kevin. One of the things we have to take into consideration is the fantastic control screen that we have. So it's a 7-inch TFT screen, very informative, very intuitive. It's a great device to be able to control your cooking process accordingly. Unique to this device as well is the fact that we have 3 fans, 3 elements. So together with the stainless steel separation plate, we can create 3 different zones within the oven, incrementally in 30 degrees to be quite efficient. So you can imagine your top shelf being on 190, your middle shelf on 160, and your bottom shelf 100 to 130. We can achieve that because the 3 fans and the 3 elements are controlled digitally, individually almost. And in that process as well, together, which makes this unit unique with the multi-stage cooking, is the fact that we can create stages within every recipe. So if you put those recipes together, say for instance, zone 1, we can get zone 1 if it's a product that requires more heat and the full cooking time, all the energy will then be distributed to the top level, and the bottom level will have a little bit less energy for the more subtle items that you're cooking, like your peas, your carrots, and your soft vegetables. And then towards the end, again, we can take some energy from the top and share it with the bottom to give the bottom a bit of a boost to finish up to get to the temperature of 75 degrees. So these are really, fantastic features that the unit does have.
Okay, and what size is that control panel, Sean?
It's a 7-inch TFT control panel, Kevin, and it's quite good. It's very, how can I say, it's quite hygienic as well. So it's easy to clean, easy to maintain clean, and especially during these times now when you're thinking about, hygiene and so forth, not just for COVID, but also food handling and so forth. It's easy to sanitize it again and very efficient for the next person to come. Ideally, those food handlers will always wear your disposable gloves as well while they're operating, and this will be great for the control panel because you can still work with your disposable gloves on as well.
Yeah, good. Is the unit manual cook only?
No. So this is the great thing. You can cook manual. A lot of the customers or a lot of the end users will probably prefer, they want to go manual. And again, with manual, you've got full controllability. However, you can set up to 8 programs. Now, 8 programs might not sound a lot, but with it, 8 programs, for instance, you can have a complete dinner service or a breakfast service or a lunch service running on program 1, program 2, lunch, dinner, program 3. And then from the other ones, various different cooking programs you can put in. Maybe you are doing a stage on service where you're only regenerating desserts, for instance. So that can be a dessert setting so that you can regenerate efficiently, literally going into your menu, selecting the program you want, go to automatic mode, set your time and your day, and the unit will perform that accordingly. Okay, so it's manual cooking and programmable cooking. Very interactive.
Brilliant, great. Is there any other features specific to the controller we should know about?
There are, yeah, of course, there's loads of features involved for the control panel, Kevin. One of the important factors is that you can, I always say seal it off, but you can limit access to going behind the scenes. So as the operator comes in the morning, these operators can be the kitchen porters, the ward porters, catering assistants that you don't really want to get involved with the programs and not mess about, but interfere with it and maybe offset it or change settings in it. So you can block that off so that you have to go by passcode and to go in behind the management screen. to manage those processes. But you can also set it so that there is an operator code. So for instance, the operator code on this particular unit is 2555, which will give you then access. And as you can see on the screen, and also the light, the food's ready now, which I'll take out in a second. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, it's very, very interactive, but also very manageable as well. You are in full control. So the unit can be on standby, but I'll talk about that here and let me get the food out quickly.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Keep those questions coming if there are more. I'm sure there is.
That's fine. Sean, I've had a question in. Is there a plate warming facility within the trolley?
No, there's no plate warming facility in the trolley, Kevin. Okay. This is an option though, Kevin.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so as you can see, I'm bringing the food out, and I'll place it accordingly on the unit, and then I'll probe it all to ensure that we are good for our temperatures to go. So apologies for my back. I'm trying to go as good as I can. Oh, wonderful. Okay. So on the control panel, I've just initiated my gantry. So my gantry will become nice and warm now. And I've also introduced the light to it so I can actually see what I'm serving. Two other great features of the unit. So it's nice and visible and also making it easier for the operator. Okay. Okay. Any other questions, Kevin? While I'm busy unpacking.
On the actual unit itself, Sean, does the unit store HACCP, and how can this be achieved and then accessed?
Okay, so the HACCP can be accessed in two manners, actually more manners than that actually. But the HACCP will store it on the unit itself, so it will store into your software package on top of it, behind your controller, of course. And these can be accessed on the screen. You can also upload it to a USB stick, Kevin, and from then on also you can then transfer that USB stick to a file in your computer, on your desktop, and create your HACCP file like that. There's also an opportunity for IoT connectivity, so that you can do this via Wi-Fi. The units are Wi-Fi enabled. Okay, and then we can get the data like that.
Okay.
So I think that's everything there. So I'll leave the rest in. Okay, so Kevin, we're going to go to the screen now, and I'll show quickly the probe activity and how to do the HACCP recording for that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So on the screen over here, you can now see that my gantry is on. I've got my gantry light on. There's nice heat to the gantry, and again, it had residual heat coming from the oven as well, which is very, very nice to have. I'm going to probe the steak pie, and then also my seafood pie, and then I'm going to record the HACCP accordingly. So I'm going to go to HACCP. It's asking me to put my initials in, which is very important when you are recording these parameters.
Yeah.
Then the screen comes up, your HACCP data, and now you select there quite intelligently what you are going to probe. So are you going to probe a protein, a dessert, a cake, a cold item, and so forth, starch, soup. So I'm going to go straight for my pie. When it goes green, that's the temperature reached, and I'm quite happy with that. Log it, and that's your temperature logged for your fish pie, for instance. I'll do another one. I just want to get my probe wipes. Given that is how fast it is to upload the data. So there's no requirement for pen and paper and becoming messy. Everything is just the probe is integrated with the unit. It is removable. It is calibrated. It's extremely accurate. And then I'll go for my second one. As you can see, that's very, very accurate. Temperature climbs. 85 degrees is fantastic. Protein has some temperature logged. Great stuff. So
and this takes away human error as well, Sean, doesn't it? Like where people, if they're recording manually on a pen and paper, etc. That's correct.
That's correct, Kevin. Often the pen and paper, you can lose this. It gets damaged. It gets wet. The clipboard gets misplaced. It's very, very time consuming and also effort. to then transport a clipboard or your HACCP folder with you everywhere. It's in there now. It's stored in there. It can be stored for up to a year in the unit, but it also depends on how much input you are giving it. So if you are probing tons of product every day, the recommendation is that every month, just upload your data again to your USB stick and then bring it to your desktop and then download it accordingly to your HACCP file in there. Every month, every 3 months is good housekeeping. That's standard as well. And that will clear your cache system in there so that you free up memory space again. Because what will happen if the capacity is full, an error code will come up and it will start to go backwards and delete the first one you placed in and update it accordingly. Okay, so it's good housekeeping to update your HACCP reports. If it's with the Wi-Fi, if it's IoT connected, you can then automatically go then and that gets recorded onto your dashboard, which we can share on the screen for you. Okay.
Okay, yeah,
so,
great stuff.
Okay, so and this happens instantaneously. So once I've uploaded the HACCP, it immediately goes to the dashboard and it will get presented there. And from then you can pull out reports as well. And that is proof that you've served the food accordingly, check the temperature, and everything is above the required temperature of between 75 and 85 degrees. Okay, can we go to the screen? All right.
That's good stuff.
Okay.
I do have a question in, Sean. It's more of, from a sales point of view, I should imagine. But on the front glass, it says, could you change the Falcon for your own brand logo? I would say that, you know, that can be discussed at point of specification into group customers. So the answer would be yes. Yeah,
you can do that. Okay, Kevin, so if you can have a look at, it should be showed on your screen. You can have a look at the data coming up. And what we're going to go down is go to our downloads.
Yeah.
Download the trolley. It's giving you a date option. So we're going to select the date range, which is today, which is the 10th. Okay. So that's the data downloaded. And this is how fast it is, Kevin. So there's no time wasting involved. It's very, very efficient and extremely, extremely accurate. Okay, and then, okay. And there we go, Kevin. So there are the two products I've just tested. So we've done the fish pie and we've also done the chicken and steak pie, and both the results are then on a pass. So we've already done our signature on the screen and on the there. So the record is there of the person who's taken that data down. Again, the trolley will always be assigned most probably to a porter or a person for that day. So that every data will then be attached to that person. So actually very accountable when it comes to your temperature checks of your food. Okay. So I'll take off the lid so you can see what the food looks like. As already you can see that the steak pie has got beautiful crisp color, as well as the fish pie. And then again, it's really, really easy to serve after that. Vegetables are nice and vibrant and green.
Looks very appetizing, Chef.
Fantastic output from. And then again, also I've got my bag next to me where I can put all my debris and my the lids of the container should not laying around, or should really use a towel for this. It's quite hot.
Yeah.
Okay. It smells absolutely delicious. Once again, I wish you all were here so we can, enjoy the food together.
Hopefully that won't be too long, Chef.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the clock's ticking, Kevin. It can't be long. I think the whole country's getting very, very excited. Okay. All right. So that's some great questions that came in today, Kevin. It's quite an interactive session, which is fantastic. That's how it should be,
Yes, that's good.
Okay, and then from here, I've got my tray prepped. So typical service would then be your tray, so you can dish up for your customer accordingly, and then either take it to them in the bed where they are, in the ward where they are, or if they want to come up and then take the tray away safely to wherever they are seated. Very, very efficient and useful. tool for various operations. Okay. Any other questions that came in, Kevin?
There's not at the moment, Chef. No.
Okay. All right. So as you can see, I'll open the unit up quite wide. There's a few items left there, so I'm keeping that on a holding setting at the moment. So again, beautiful zones, easy to load. On the right-hand side, the oven is then landscape loadable, and landscape load because it's quite easier for our oven to be loaded in that format, especially if it's larger products. And on the left-hand side, it's portrait load. Again, I've used these polycarbonate containers. So these are high heat, and also they can take refrigeration and also freezing, which is fantastic. Alternatively, you can use ceramic dishes, stainless steel trays, gastro trays. You can use a variety of foil items like they are. You can decant it or you can keep it in the foil. And again, you can regenerate and serve it from there, but I think it looks much smarter inside these containers. I mean, these are kindly being provided by Nick Gardner from Canberra today, so thank you to him. But again, there's different products on the market which are suitable for these devices, and it just depends on your service style and what you want to do. Again, for me, for service, the containers are very hot, so I don't want to decant the pie into something. I want to make it look really, really good. So I keep it like that, but I put it into the crock and it looks more presentable. And again, it's heat resistant up to 190 degrees, also freezer resistant up to -40 degrees. So it's a fantastic, fantastic accessory to have for these units. Okay. Kevin, that's it from a culinary point of view. I'll go back to the screen quickly, just to run through that. So I'm finished with my process now. As you can see on the bottom here, I've got a holding sequence in, which is a maximum hold of 2 hours. So if, say, for instance, the customers have just taken a break, maybe they want to come back and eat a little bit in about another 15 minutes, I can then take these containers, put them back in the oven, and then they will hold it for me. Okay. There's also a boost feature. So if I go on to, we'll just go back out of that. As you can see on the left-hand side on top here, if you want to generate a little boost that will give the oven a nice blast of temperature up to about 190 degrees or whatever setting you're in, and it will do so for 10 minutes. So if you find even at the end of your cooking procedure that your product is perhaps sitting at 73 degrees and it just wants to come to 75 degrees, push a boost and it will give some nice energy for it and cook it for a little bit longer for you to achieve the color and also the core temperature of that particular product. Okay, so very interactive screen. As you can see, everything is literally controlled by the finger. If I then want to shut off my fridge, it'll ask you to shut it off. Thank you very much. I'll say yes. That's my fridge shut off. On the gantry on top here, incrementally, I can take that off. So that's off, and I can switch my light off and then go back into standby mode. Am I sure the end of service? I am indeed. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now my unit is ready. I can unplug and then move it back to where it can get unloaded, sanitized, and ready again for the next service.
That's great, Chef. That's absolutely great.
On the screen again, I just want to go to your control panel is over here. So there's various areas where you can go into. What an operator themselves will probably utilize the most often will be your automatic settings to go into the programs. Okay, the manager again will be password protected. The self-test, I need to run through it. Another great feature of this unit, Kevin, every day when the unit starts up for the very first time, the unit will do a self-check. So it will run a diagnostics of all the parameters within the unit. You know, is there enough refrigerant in? Is everything else working correctly, and so forth? And this check will take roughly about 1.5 to 2 minutes. Once it's done the self-check and everything is happy and it's good to go, the unit will then go into full standby mode. Okay, and you can be ready to cook. Again, you can select the time, so make it a delayed timer. Communication is when you have the connected to your, there is Wi-Fi enabled when you've been connected via Wi-Fi and so forth. And then also back on standby mode. Are you sure? Yes. Screen shuts down, the unit shuts down. As you can see, it's in standby mode, and now I am ready to go and move the unit back to where it gets unpacked, sanitized, and stored. You asked earlier about the Falcon branding, Kevin, as there. The customer can have their own branding on the main screen as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a fantastic presentation today, Chef. Would you be available for any culinary inquiries, like from the customer stroke end users?
Always, Kevin. There's a question I would like to bring up, which I'm a bit troubled that nobody's asked that. What is the temperature range of the oven on the right-hand side? And again, 13 amps. Remember 13 amps, guys. We can go up to 250 degrees with this 13 amp oven. 250 degrees for regeneration is hot. The reason why it's up to 250, and I spoke about it earlier, if you are going to load the oven with lots of dense product from the freezer, put it up to the maximum, load it, close the door, and make stage 2 then your setting of 190 or 170 or wherever you want to go, so that the oven inside is already have the residual heat build up, so you won't have that thermal shock where the oven just drops down immediately to below 90 or 100, and then it struggles to get back to the optimal temperature. So remember, these are 13 amp ovens. So if you're going to do a heavy load, maximum temperature, load in, and then use your second stage for your parameters that you want to cook at. Okay.
Great, Chef. Thank you very much.
Thank you.